So what we're going to be covering is what's called parry chaining. So what parry chaining is a way to chain through the parries in a, not just a fluid way, but the quickest way possible. So for example, a lot of times when people parry the outside, they'll parry it palm down. When they parry the inside, they'll parry it palm up, right? Now doing these separately as just one parry is fine. If someone attacks me on the outside and I just parry palm down here and riposte. But if I go from the outside palm down to the inside, what's happening is I'm rotating my hand, which is causing not only a hole, but it's taking extra time. So instead, if we're moving through several parries, for example, like if someone feints my outside and then goes to the inside, if I go palm down, palm up, it could be too slow. So instead what we would do is we would go palm up on the outside and then palm up on the inside. Or if I parried on the inside and went palm up, I would then parry the outside palm up, because this motion is faster and creates a smaller hole than this motion. So whenever we're chaining through our parries, we would parry differently than if we were to do an individual parry. Now, not only that, what we also need to think about is how we're going to riposte. If I were to parry my outside, palm down, so if you attack my outside, and I parry palm down. Now, we've talked about before how I don't like to attack the outside palm down because the opponent gets an easy parry because the direction that my wrist and my elbow bend, right? So I don't like attacking the outside palm down. So I would want to attack the outside palm up. Well, if you attack me and I parry this outside palm down, in order to attack palm up, I have to rotate my wrist, which takes time. Versus if you attack me and I just parry this outside palm up, I have a quicker riposte. So something to think about.
Immediate.
Yeah, much quicker. Correct. So when you think about if you normally are a palm down fencer or palm up fencer, depending on how you want to attack, changes whether or not you should originally parry palm up or palm down, especially on the outside. Now the other thing to consider too, yes.
So I'm thinking about practicing.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure I'm practicing right. And that the lesson you taught me like the first month of how fast you can go if you're touching the sword and reacting.
Yes.
As opposed to over here. So when I parry, I want to engage the sword.
Yes.
Properly.
Yep. Correct. Correct.
And then sort of pretend like he's coming over this way?
No, not necessarily. It's moreover like if they attack both sides. So like if you attack my inside, I'm still gonna parry, right? And then I could just riposte from here. But say if you feint me or if you go inside and then to the outside, so you go inside first, right? And then I go over here, if I try to do palm down, it'll be too slow.
Yeah.
Versus if you do that same feint and I go here, now it's quick enough.
And you're stronger.
Yep. And exactly, and you're stronger as well. So it's faster and it's stronger. Now we utilize this idea on all of our parries with sword or with the dagger. So even with my dagger, I'm just parrying like this. So when we dagger parry, especially with parry chaining, right? I don't want to have to go here and then if you go over there, I'm like turning over to try and get back to the true edge, or if you attack low, turning my hand to try and stop the attack. Instead, we want to utilize the way that's fastest. So if you attack my center and I cross parry, it's here. If you attack the other side, then it's here. If you attack low, then I just bring it straight down, which saves me time. Okay? Now some people might worry about the hand being exposed. So when we go straight down, you can still turn the hand slightly, which will give you this capture. You just don't want to be making these rounded motions to try and get to that true edge first, right? So instead, if you attack low, exactly. If I go straight down, technically I can turn my hand a little bit to get this straight down motion straight to here instead of this motion here and this rounding motion here. It's just straight, straight, straight.
Just to use that, what I like to do is lock it.
Yeah, it locks it better, especially like if I'm sitting here like this and I go and I have my dagger like this, how I like it. When I go straight down, it automatically feeds it into the lock we want. Correct. So we can use this same mindset for all of the parries if we want to. So now how do we chain through the parries fluidly? Now the other thing to think about is if my sword...
C-H-A-I-N or change?
Chain, C-H-A-I-N, chain, yep. Okay. Chaining through the parries, okay. Correct. Now the other thing to think about is where I hold my sword, right? So if I hold my sword on the right, then I'm gonna be parrying palm up first, and then when they would feint, I would then parry the right side with the false edge. Sorry, I'd parry the true edge first, and then the false edge. If I have my sword here more, then they're gonna be attacking the outside, and I would go false, and then when they go to the inside, I would go true, right? But now what we wanna think about is how do we chain through when they go high, high, low? If I'm starting on this right side, okay, and you attack my inside, I would go palm up, right? When you attack my right side, I would now do the false edge. Now what's gonna happen is when you attack my inside low, when I do this sweep, the quickest way would be to sweep with the false edge. Because if I turn this true edge, it takes more time. So this 3-set would go here, here, here. Because when I parry my legs, I also don't need to rotate over to parry these low shots, right? I can just parry them like this. Which also gets us into why sometimes it can be a lot more advantageous to originally hold the sword in a palm up state or a palm in state. If I hold the sword in a palm down state and you attack the inside, then this parry is not good. And when you attack the outside, this parry is also weak because it's the direction my arm bends. So trying to parry like this palm down, I can't get all the way across. To try and get the speed I want, I would have to rotate. And so I have a weaker parry here and then I have to rotate here. Versus if I'm palm up, no matter which side you go, I have a stronger and a quicker parry. This is one reason why I prefer to kind of hold my sword palm in or palm up so I get these quick parries.
And then the down one?
And then the down one would be here. If we're on that side. Now, if you attack the outside first, and I went outside and then you go to the inside, boom, now when you go low, I would just go down here like this, and I would keep my palm up. Okay? So let's move through these real quick. One more explanation, right? So if we go, if my sword's on the inside, you attack the outside, I go outside, you go back to the inside, I go inside, and then you go low, I would move to here, okay? Now, one of the advantages of this sweeping parry is the fact that it closes the first and the second line.
It does.
So, if I'm here and I do that sweeping parry, right? Say you originally attacked this side. If you were to go to the right side or go low, when I do this sweeping parry, it covers both of them. Because it goes coverage on this side and then this side. So I can shut 3 attacks down. So if you attack the inside, I can go inside, and then if you go either there or there, this specific sweeping parry will close the next 2 routes. So this is important because we're...
That or even if they went high.
Exactly, because it would parry it. So this is why we're chaining, when we're chaining parries, they're done differently than just an individual singular parry. When in reality, it's good to parry all the different ways properly for the most speed. Let me make sure this. So to review once again on how to drill this, first you would get into whatever natural guard you want to fight in. Okay, and so if I like my sword on my right side.
Should I practice both though?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. But also which side you want your sword on. If you like to hold your sword on your right side, then you're going to go palm up, palm down, because they would attack this opening first. Boom, boom.
But you don't telegraph, you just have it here.
I kind of like to sit palm up personally, slightly.
Okay, about right there. Then.
Yeah. And so I just go here, here. Now if you're kind of bladed and you're here, they're going to go to this side, so you're going to go here, here. Okay? So we're just going to drill that. We're going to go to the inside because that's what'll be open, and then I'm going to feint and I'm going to go to the inside. You're just going to go here like this, and you're kind of bringing your arm out. You're not necessarily doing your tip first. It's kind of both at the same time. Now, what you can also do that'll be even quicker though is if you attack the inside, and then when you go to the outside, is to just parry with the tip of the sword by just moving the tip over. One of the reasons why this is good is if you go inside, and then you go to the outside, and I do just this tip when you go to wind, it saves me having this arm movement after. So you can, technically if you want, you could go tip, tip, and parry with like 2 tip cuts. Just like that, real quick, right? But one of the bad things about this is it's easier for your tip to get offline, especially if they move their sword and you go here, it kind of can mess up your thrust. Versus going here, you still have your straight thrust, but both are an option. Technically this one is quicker to keep you safe defensively, but the cost comes at offensively if it's not done perfectly. Correct. Okay, so we're gonna go inside to outside. It's all parries. Yep, so you're gonna go inside to outside. Boom. Good, but don't create an arc. It's just straight over, straight over. Straight, straight. Straight, straight. Good. See how you naturally want to turn your hand?
Yeah.
Because it's hard not to get used to that when we're taught, you know, this parry first and then this parry. But when we chain them, now it's going to be a little different. Good, and I'm going to get a little bit more space. So, boom, boom. Yeah.
So even when they fake left and go right.
Correct. Then you're still fine.
But I need to keep it online.
Keep it online. Okay. Boom, boom. Good. Okay, now we'll cover another good thing that we can do about this. If I am palm up and I gain over your weapon and you go to disengage, like a disengage with your sword.
Okay.
So if I go to game over your blade, palm up, and you go to disengage, I can just straight shoot my arm forward. And I still have that parry in this quick shot and I don't have to rotate.
And you have the blade.
So one thing I like to do is I go here, I gain, they go to disengage, and then boom. Now we're gonna cover in how do we add the dagger, okay? So now what we can do is since my sword is faster, I can usually cover like 2 parries with my sword instead of having to go sword dagger. So I can save having to do my sword and my dagger at the same time. And what I can actually do is if you feint the inside, I could go sword, you feint the outside, I can go dagger, and then when you go back to the inside, then I still have this dagger left to do whichever parry I want, whether it's cross or whether it's down. So if you were to go outside first, say you feint the outside, I go outside, and then you go inside, I can cover those 2 with the sword. Now when you go back to the other side, I could cross parry. So you end up in some of these cross states. So like this, because now that I'm doing them quicker, you could even go here and then here, and it already covers that second line that they're gonna go.
Here's what I'm thinking.
First line, second line, okay? So when you go home, I want you to work on that. So we're just here and just boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom. Boom, boom.
Back. Back here.
Yep. Yep. And then yeah, so that is one of the things on how we're holding the dagger. We're holding it kind of in thumb grip in a straight line with the arm to get that quick parry. Another thing is that with the dagger, I prefer to parry with my elbow, okay? Because then, especially like if I go low, instead of going wrist up and wrist down, if I go elbow down and then they do something else, I have the wrist just in case they trick me. Or if I'm down here and I go up, if I go wrist first, then I've spent my fastest tempo. Versus if I go elbow, then I have my wrist to move wherever else, to counter wherever they go. So it's kind of done at the elbow with a little bit of wrist, but it saves that wrist movement. Parries provide. So one of the reasons why the sweeping parry is so good is because you can cover their first and their second route. For example, if I'm on the inside here and you go to my right to attack high, starting this sweep covers this first line. If you were to then go low, finishing the sweep covers the second line. So what's good about the sweeping parries is that they can cover both the first and the second line. So one more time, say you attack that outside and then go low, boom, good. Now we're gonna do it a bit quicker and you'll feint outside and then go low. Good, okay? Now, the key on these sweeping parries is the reason why we're doing this sweeping parry instead of this one is because if I attack with this sweeping parry, my tip is covering this huge arc outside your body before it covers it again. So you want to sweep the way that covers the most on their body and your body of where they would attack.
Again.
So if you attack me, boom, and here, okay? Now what we don't want to do too is we don't want to make too big of an arc where our sword's like going way offline of them. We want to keep it online and small. Now, if I am going to do this sweeping parry, I would do it because my sword is on my right. So now when you attack me, you would go to the center, which this sweep would cover, and then when you go low, this sweep would cover. Now when I do this sweep, I like to not have to rotate my hand. So if you attack me, I stay palm up the entire time. So what the sweep looks like is this, palm up to save time, instead of going to palm down. I just stay palm up.
You have more power though when you went to palm down.
You do have more power when you go to palm down on that one. That's one of
It's
one of the few that you do have more power, correct. Yep.
I can feel it.
But right now we're just talking about for speed, right? For straight speed, it's going to be here.
I feel the need for speed.
Feel the need for speed. So this is to maximize the speed on the parries. Now, like if
Think about finger position.
you can do it from any of them. Yep. It's definitely best from two finger. Two finger makes them all, except that one, but it makes this one easier, and it makes these easier too.
Oh yeah.
No?
You need that. You need the arc.
Correct.
When we first did it, I thought, okay, wouldn't it be faster just to go straight to
Yeah,
it?
you need the arc. That way it covers all the different places that I'm going to attack. That's the good thing about the sweeping parry. And a lot of people think that the sweeping parry is bad because they're like, well, you sweep it like into your body, but it doesn't really work like that. It's actually one of the safest parries because you're covering so much so quickly. That like, yeah, if I do it wrong, where like if you attack me, and especially like if I go palm down here, since I'm creating this arc and this hole, I could kind of sweep it into myself and screw myself. But when you attack me by going palm up, it's not as bad because I'm not creating this arc and this hole when I'm doing it. Instead, I'm going here.
And it's faster.
And it's faster. It does. Okay, now, what we, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it works great from thumb grip.